today's video, I'm here in Newross to check out the JFK statue in the podium because his grandfather's from here. They gave a speech here at one stage. That's all for now. Ship over here. It's nice small greens here. Walking all the key, then you see us here. Quite lovely looking, so we told at the podium. Actually, see over there, it's just right over there. Just the parking for a couple of minutes, it's like 20-30 minutes, it's like 50 cents, was not too bad. I had to pay 18 or 16 euro for parking in Wexford. See, at the East Coast Islands, like a bit rubbish for parking. Immigration from Newross, and in 1848, Patrick Kennedy, which is JFK's grandfather, emigrated well documented. It was well documented, and it was well known that James O'Neill, the father of America's most renowned playwright, Eugene O'Neill, left Ireland from these queens in 1851. There's the Waterford Viking over here. Here's a statue of JFK here. And there's a bit of information on the right hand side of the speech he gave. That's the way he came here. We traveled over 6,000 miles to be here. I suppose it's one of his entourage, maybe. Lighthouse. Ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can do for your country, or what your country can do for you. Right? Our problems are man-made, therefore they have been solved by man, and man can be as big as he wants. No problem of human destiny is beyond human beings. A lot of family knowledge here at the Old Irish College. As you can see, JFK's got some little decorations here on his hand. Pause the video and you can see it for yourself. Look at that, just image of the houses there. Little house here. John Patrick Kennedy, 45th President of the United States of America, spoke from the spot on 27th of June 1963, barely 100 steps from where he is. Great grandfather Patrick Kennedy sailed to America in 1848. I hear like how important here on the podium. Now I'm speaking. See it? We head on now.
The next stop is Newross, a port town at the mouth of the Barrow River. It was from here that Patrick Kennedy had sailed for the New World 100 years before. In Newross, he receives a tumultuous welcome. The man whose fame circles the earth is coming to honor them. The great-grandfather who had brought the name and fame of the Kennedys to the United States was one of themselves. Now his great-grandson is returning, not only as a Kennedy, but as president of the greatest nation on earth. And for that reason, they are justly proud. On a platform along the Barrow River, the president accepts the gifts of the townspeople for Mrs. Kennedy. The presentation is made by Andy Minahan, the stately bearded figure who conducted the ceremony in a spirit of humor. Accompanying the president are his two sisters, Mrs. Eunice Schreiber and Mrs. Jean Smith. The visit to Newross was indeed informal, and here the president was completely relaxed, and his subsequent speech was a highlight of the Wexford visit. my great-grandfather left here to become a cooper in East Boston, he carried nothing with him except two things: a strong religious faith and a strong desire for liberty. And I'm glad to say that all of his great-grandchildren have valued that inheritance. Yeah. If he hadn't left, I'd be working over at the Albatross Company. Or perhaps for John D. Kelly. In any case, we are happy to be back here. About 50 years ago, an Irishman from Newross traveled down to Washington with his family, and in order to tell his neighbors how well he was doing, he had his picture taken in front of the White House and said, "This is our summer home. Come and see us." Well, it's our home also in the winter, and I hope you will come and see us. Thank you.
At the Viking quarter here, and the bullocks are absolutely beautiful. And so there is actually some Viking carvings around the place. So I'm currently in the Viking Triangle at the moment, hoping to see a Viking ship up here now. That's all for now. There's some seats in the shape of ships. The Viking tower up here, and we ship over here. Over here. Here, a Viking ship. Waterford. So something forward, I don't know the first word. Just shake inside here. Yeah. You're a Viking, dude. Put your face off. Reagan Knowles, the founder of Viking Waterford, 1914. Here's me to be a Viking. Upstairs now. So apparently I have to start at the top floor. You work your way down, sweetie. So the reason these stairs are designed like this, where it's not easy to swing your right hand, that's part of the story. Raiders are mainly right-handed because human beings are mainly right-handed. So if they're home raiding the castle, they cannot swing, especially because it hinders them, the staircase. Door. And so if you're left-handed, you could do it, but that gives the defenders an advantage over you.
That fight still exists in the town today. High on the north-facing wall, a cannonball from Arton's cannon is lodged deep in the stone, a potent reminder of those turbulent years of warfare. It is known as Reginald's Tower, after its founder Ragnar, or Reginald. It was a name that would echo through history for over 1,000 years. By the 1130s, Waterford's earth bank was replaced with a stone wall. These new defences were put to the test when Waterford was placed under siege by Anglo-Norman mercenaries led by Richard Fitzgilbert de Clare, otherwise known as Strongbow. In 1170, Diarmaid MacMurrough, the King of Leinster, asked Strongbow for help defeating his enemies. In exchange, he offered him not only power, but also his daughter Aoife's hand in marriage. And so, heavily armed, he crossed the channel and launched an assault on the city. At first its defences held, then Strongbow's army found a weak spot tore down the wall and rushed into the town, slaughtering citizens in heaps along the streets. The citizens retreated and made their last stand at Reginald's Tower, but they were soon beaten and driven from the city. The men and women of Waterford did not give up so easily though, and 4 years later mounted a revenge attack. This time the Anglo-Norman forces were beaten back to the tower, but with the help of reinforcements eventually retook the city. In 1171, Henry II sailed to Waterford. It was the first visit of an English monarch to Ireland. While here, Henry imprisoned one of his knights in Reginald's Tower, establishing the first royal prison in the country. When Henry's son John became Lord of Ireland, he rebuilt the tower as a solid stone structure with deep foundations and 2 floors. He also strengthened the city walls and fortifications. As the 12th century gave way to the 13th, Waterford prospered. King John returned a second time and established a mint in the tower. As with the prison before it, the tower reflected the fortunes of the town. John's son, Henry III, later gave permission for the building of a nearby Franciscan friary and Dominican priory. His son, Edward I, also used the tower as a prison, particularly for those who defrauded the mint. The penalty for this crime was to have your hand chopped off. In the 14th century, Waterford's fortunes took a dark turn. It suffered an economic downturn, and in 1348, the Black Death struck, killing almost a third of the city's population. At the end of the century, the tower was turned into a munition store when King Richard II brought the first cannon into Ireland. By the 15th century, the city's economy had recovered. The mint was re-established in the tower, and 2 further floors were added to accommodate larger cannon.
My Russian skills and Ukrainian skills, if sum up a couple up here, I didn't want to record them, like, why would you want to do that, like? But yeah, I got the practice out. They seemed happy enough that they were here and they enjoyed the place, and yeah, it's about it. I actually lived in Donegal too, so he's actually right beside me. So anyway, see the chessboard? There's about the shapes of castles with their colour differently. So they look like checkers because they're not particularly well distinguished. I put one of those here. Used to be archers. You shoot arrows like this way. It's hard for archery or arrows to fire in because of the narrow windows, so it's actually easy to fire out and as they fire in. So here we have the actual throne room. And that the excretion will fall right down to the bottom of the castle outside.
Scandinavia. Yes. Scandinavia. So, another question. And it's a very, very, very tricky question. Only 2 people so far figured out the trick in the question. What was the job of the Viking?
To read.
It's in the description, you're correct. I'm sure whatever you say, it's gonna be right. Just to find out the trick in my question. That's another story. To raid, yes. Any more ideas?
To expand.
As well, it's in the description. You giving up on the trick?
Qu'est-ce que les Vikings faisaient avec comme métier?
Forgeron, oui.
Ouais, forgeron.
Les armes.
As well, it's in the description.
Alors,
So,
ouais, dans la
the trick in my question is, Viking was a job.
Ah oui.
All the Vikings were Scandinavians, but not all Scandinavians were Vikings. The thing is, only those who took their weapons, built longboats, manned those boats, sailed either to the west or to the east to raid, pillage, plunder, settle, trade, wherever. Only those were the Vikings. So, farmers, blacksmiths, fishermen, hunters, co-makers, skalds, artisans could become Viking if they only took weapons, sailed to do the pirate stuff. Only those. Nowadays we have this unfortunately misconception. People think Viking was a nation. No. It wasn't a nation. It was just another job on their CV, the activities they made. And Viking Age for entire world lasted towards the end of the 12th century. That's when the need for this job just vanished. Because a lot of Scandinavians returned to Scandinavia, they returned to their daily jobs. A lot of them actually settled and created new societies wherever they managed actually to settle, mixed with local people. New societies were created, like Hiberno-Norse in Ireland, Irish Norwegians. Scandinavians with the French, creating the Normans. Normandy, yeah. And the Viking leader Rolf became Rollo, first Duke of Normandy. And then his great-grandson, Guillaume de Bataille, Guillaume the Conqueror. He was half Scandinavian, half Frankish. Yeah. And that was after the second siege of Paris, 886 to 887, when they actually mixed. And those Scandinavians who raided Paris was mostly Danes with a few Norwegians. And then they, William the Conqueror, with Normans, invaded England. And the thing in there, Anglo-Saxons finally resolved the problem with the Danes and expelled the Vikings, crushed them at the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066. So Anglo-Saxon King Harold Godwinson were victorious. Viking King Harald Hardrada was dead, who himself was actually Varangian from Miklagard, from Constantinople. That's another story. And the Normans waited for them when they marched south at Hastings. So, yep. And then Anglo-Saxons lost the battle, and already four nations mixed together became Anglo-Normans. That's not the end. And Anglo-Normans invaded Ireland and actually crushed Hiberno-Norse society in here. Woof, that's a lot. And that's the proof that Scandinavians at a certain point were pretty much everywhere. Even sailing and trying to conquer Mediterranean Sea. They attacked Caliphate of Cordoba in Spain. They attacked Rome, settled in Sicily, visited marketplaces of Northern Africa, and went all the way to Middle East. Tried to attack Constantinople, traded in Vasid, Baghdad. They were buying silver from local mines, and the Chinese brought the silk through the Silk Road as well. Norwegians settled in Ireland, created Hiberno-Norse society. They settled in Iceland. They sailed across the ocean, found Greenland, and eventually a new continent, Vinland, which we now call America. So the expansion was vast. But enough of me confusing you guys. Let's do magical part of the trip. VR inside a VR. Viking raid in virtual reality. Great idea?
Oui.
Now, the last question. Do you have any fear?
Depends.
Crazy. You're crazy. You're laughing in the face of danger. I mean, you're in the right place then.
So there was your name.
I'm Bart. I work here as the Viking reenactor, tour guide, and receptionist.
And what do you do here?
Just living history, a bit of chat and banter about Viking Age history before we dive into a virtual reality, magical part of the tour.
Why is it important to keep Viking history alive?
As any part of history, just to learn, to educate, to show how people lived, what were the traditions, and of course, in the darker parts of the history, not to repeat it.
And the last question is, what got you into being a Viking? Why do you want to be a Viking?
I'm not a Viking, I'm just a humble reenactor.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by this part of history, the exploration part and the mythology. Great stories, both from history and mythology as well. Great to sit around the fire, get the horn full of meat and just share time with the good friends.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
The area here is on the square. This park featured on the site.
So, it's really...
You see a metal thing up there, see it? It's for the Irish Wake Museum.
You keep saying you got something for me, something you call love, but confess you've been messing where you shouldn't be messing.
I can dress up here, but unfortunately there's no headband that'll support my head, so it's sitting upside here. Ultimately you get some food here. You have to buy some of these helmets here so you can. They're quite expensive though. One of them's £200, so I wouldn't recommend it. Get them on eBay, sure. So what? I'll do a Viking helmet in here. Garden must be some sort of restaurant. Good vlogging. 15:08 to 16:57.